That's right, and for one guy, that means visiting every single library in the country.
Right, I read a book on quantum mechanics. It was about 120, 140 pages. It took about 20 minutes.
He believes learning is fun, exciting, and adventure. New Yorker Howard Berg says he will be in the new Guinness Book of World Records.
His skill? Speed reading. Steve Lusk tells us about the world's fastest reader.
Super reader Howard Berg.
My top speed was 80 to 90 pages a minute.
He reads more than 25,000 words a minute.
It's a good book. It's an interesting book. It's an inside look of power and how it affects otherwise nice people.
It will take him just 5 minutes to read this 400-page book about the Watergate scandal.
Okay, that's it.
Howard will be in the next edition of the Guinness Book of World Records, the world's fastest reader.
It's not a magic trick. It is a skill, and it's something people can learn. That's my whole point of doing this.
He says meditation and yoga help enrich the mind.
It increases your capacity to learn. Your time is used more efficiently.
Howard says speed reading gives you concepts and basic ideas. For details, you should go back and reread at a slower pace, maybe 10,000 words a minute.
By learning to read in this way, people can obtain the information that's essential to stay competitive and ahead.
Howard Berg is also an astrologer who will lecture tonight at 7 at the Glendale Community Center. He also gives speed reading lectures.
Okay, President Bush is talking about the necessity for the Chinese government to legitimize the students' movement.
Speed reading could certainly help me.
Another memo, Mr. Lusk.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, no, not another lengthy memo from NBC President Robert C. Wright. Oh, well, I guess memo reading can be fun. Steve Lusk.
If you looked at the wide selection of books available and wished you had more time to read. At times like that, you can't help but envy Howard Berg of Brooklyn, New York.
I'm the world's fastest reader. I can read around 80 pages a minute.
Break that down, and Howard claims to read 25,000 words a minute. This supersonic speed put Howard in the Guinness Book of World Records and on the road teaching others his skill. So how does he do it? By focusing on nouns and verbs.
Well, here's an example of a high-speed reading history book. Washington, Battle of Trenton, Revolutionary War, and without seeing all the in-between words, you know what you're reading.
For more detailed information, Howard says he may reread a second time, but on the average, he only finishes 2 books a week. But he says it only takes him 15 minutes a book.
I've read about 4,000 books, so it took me about 20 years, but many of those books I've read 8 or 9 times.
Okay. This is the Saturday edition of the St. Louis Sun, October 7th. I know, being from New York, you didn't read this. So on page 3, there are 2 articles about the Bush family. I want you to read them and tell me what they're all about.
Okay, he's talking, it's the granddaughter of the original owner of the property, and they have a farm. They've established a farm, an animal preserve on their house, and the property is very valuable.
For the next 5 minutes, Howard proceeded to explain an article that took him about 15 seconds to read. With a talent like that, he could devour this newsstand in an hour, although some of the pictures in these magazines might slow him down just a bit. I'm John Pertzborn, Channel 5 Eyewitness News.
John's taking
You can do the same thing.
Yes, he does. His name is Howard Stephen Berg. He is in the Denver area to demonstrate his technique. He joins us live this morning. Howard, thank you.
Thanks for having me.
We're going to be putting you to the test, I think. Our producer has clipped a 7-page article from the Smithsonian magazine. Took him 20 minutes to read it, perhaps 10
Right.
for Gary and I don't know. But anyway, our photographer, Randy Nielsen, is going to give you a copy. We'll give you a little time to look it over, and then we'll get back to you.
Okay, I'll get started.
Okay. Musical yet?
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about what was it about?
It's about nightmares, and it goes into great detail. It starts off with a girl named Susan and her nightmares about androids. And it talks about how the cause of her nightmares was related to early childhood problems. Then it goes into Freud, his studies on dreams, the significance of dreams. Goes into the physiology of dreams. It talks about the D waves and the S waves, and the studies done in different sleep labs, and a study done at Tufts University on nightmares. It differentiates between people who have nightmares regularly, which is a high frequency and abnormal, as compared to individuals who have nightmares on an infrequent basis.
Howard, thank you very much.
We're
convinced. We're very convinced. Our producer is telling us that that is exactly right.
Berg of Brooklyn, New York may not be a household name, but he's hoping to make it big. Berg is in Huntsville this weekend lecturing on the things he does best. One of those things is reading. Reading fast. Scott Huffman has more.
39-year-old Howard Berg says he's done some amazing things. One of those is having the ability to read at the speed of light. Well, almost. Some claim that Berg is the fastest reader in the world.
It's a very strong possibility. We haven't had a match like chess champions had to see who's got the fastest fingers in town, but from some of the things I've done, I've been told that no one's done that before. I finished an 1,165-page book in 25 minutes.
Berg says almost everyone has the ability to speed read. Just because you're reading an article or a book doesn't mean you should read every word to understand the material.
What a speed reader is trying to do is learn how to take the groups of words that are in a sentence and push them together into a meaning, so that you don't see the words in the sentence anymore. The whole sentence and its identity, its context, its significance are integrated into a single concept.
Besides reading at top-flight speeds, Berg is considered a leading expert in astrology and psychic development. Those skills are based on positive thinking. Berg will be lecturing tomorrow night in Huntsville at the Light of Christ Center. At Huntsville, Scott Huffman, 31 Eyewitness News.
Tell you who's here this morning. Even as we speak, there's a man right over there reading a book, and he's reading a big